evolution, as has been taught, is a demonic lie. It is to tell you that you come from nowhere.
Literally none of that is involved in evolution.
Who is the father of Santa Claus?
Me.
So of all the videos I reacted to, this one pissed me off the most.
What the Antichrist is saying here is, my name is maybe.
Okay, that's an odd name.
That by itself is good evidence for God.
Imagine I want to prove my cap Mittens is actually a secret intergalactic emperor.
If we were really expanding with the universe at 1.2 million miles per hour, we would see a different star every second of the day.
Okay, so that was wrong, but why was there a little spaceship there? Today's video is sponsored by Geology. No, not the rocks. If a big rock ever wants to sponsor my channel, I'm here for it, but that's not happening today. We're talking about skincare. If you've been here before, you probably will already be aware that Geology is an award-winning hair, skin and body care brand. They've won over 40 awards. They've got over 10,000 5-star reviews. I use them every single day. Geology makes simple, effective skincare, no fads, no nonsense. And it is so easy to get your products and to use. All you do is sign up using the link down below, take the 60-second diagnostic quiz. Tell Geology about your skin and your goals. Their team of dermatologists will design a personalized skincare routine just for you, which is then delivered straight to your door. No fuss. As we in the business of being professional business people say, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I've heard that said at several business conferences. Your personalized skincare set includes 2 face wash, a moisturizing face cream for the morning with SPF protection. Do you think I would get all those nice and friendly "you look like a vampire" comments if I didn't use SPF protection on my face? Certainly not. And for the evening you get a retinol night cream and an eye cream. I'll use my morning cream as an example. You can see there it's got the SPF protection. It says with simple numbers exactly when in your routine to use it, as well as the active ingredients, but you also get these cards that say exactly what the active ingredients are and how they work. And importantly, you can see on the card that it is also cruelty-free and vegan. I've spoken to you many times about why I love Geology. For me, I just need a routine that is really simple to follow. Most excitingly, you can try Geology for free. Get 100% off using my code EmmaThorne100, following my link down below, scanning my QR code. Your skincare trial set is 1 full month of products. There is no reason not to try it out for 100% off. I mean, really, what an absolute banger of a deal. Plus, you get a free gift and up to 50% off of add-ons. Click that link down below, scan my QR code, make sure you get yourself that 100% off. Try the skincare trial set today. Thank you so much for checking it out, and to Geology for sponsoring this video. Hello lovely people, my name is Emma. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you are new. Boy do I have a treat for you today. This week I have the absolute pleasure of being joined by several friends from the Skeptick community. We have playfully dubbed ourselves Super Atheist Friends. So that's cool. So we're all pitching in today to react to some silly internet content. Make sure you go check out the videos on their channels as well, not only because they are my talented and lovely friends, but also because I'm in them, and I worked really hard on my videos. And I think they're cool and funny. I'll make sure to link everything down below for you. Please enjoy today's video. Good news, everyone. We finally have the evidence we need to put this flat earth debate to rest once and for all. And no, I'm not talking about the hundreds of years of multidisciplinary research that proves the earth is categorically a globe. We're truth seekers here, and the answer lies, as we well know, with some guy on TikTok.
So if you guys believe in NASA, then that means that you believe that right now the Earth is rotating at 1,000 miles per hour.
I'm pretty sure this is text-to-speech, and I'm just hoping that somebody has chosen this accent so that it sounds a bit like David Attenborough, because the Flat Earth movement has too much UK representation already. It's starting to get embarrassing.
While it orbits the Sun with all the other planets at 66,600 miles per hour, while it's being dragged by the Sun at over 500,000 miles per hour, all this while the universe expands at over 1.2 million miles per hour.
Saying all of these things with an incredulous voice doesn't make them less true. This is an understandable human problem with comprehending big numbers. The scale of the universe is much larger than we are able to understand. At heart, we're tribal people. We're made to have little communities. So it's really hard to imagine an expanding universe, celestial bodies moving at these speeds. But again, just because it's difficult to picture doesn't mean it's not true.
And what they'll tell you, the only reason why we're not being sucked up into this infinite vacuum of space, because it is a vacuum, they tell us, is because of gravity.
Can I just say, I absolutely love this clip of a little astronaut riding a swing outside the Earth. I had a look in my own stock video library to see if I had this clip, and I don't, but I do have a lot of good astronaut stuff.
Gravity is somehow strong enough to keep all the waters stuck to this magical rock sphere, but not strong enough to keep the oceans from flowing, right?
Again, inserting the words somehow and magical and using an incredulous voice doesn't invalidate the truth. Somehow we inhale this magical air that allows us to oxygenate our blood. Anything can sound ridiculous if you say it like that. It's still true.
Strong enough to keep bugs and birds and me from jumping up and down, but it's strong enough to keep all the oceans of this world on this rock.
Okay, this is the last time I'm going to make this point because we could be here forever, but just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it's not true. My kingdom for a better education system. For some reason, this person is failing to take mass into account. The mass of you, or a grasshopper, or some other jumpy bouncy thing, is very different to the mass of the world's ocean.
If we are expanding with the universe at 1.2 million miles per hour, why are we seeing the same celestial patterns?
My friend, the patterns of the stars in the night sky do change. In 50,000 years, if humans are still around, the sky will be unrecognizable compared with now. Again, it's just the scale that you can't comprehend. If you do a bit of stargazing, you'll notice that the constellations appear different in summer versus winter. The stars also shift night to night because of the Earth's rotation.
Emphasize patterns because we have 12 zodiac signs. And this has been since the beginning of time. They haven't changed.
Not to get all Ken Ham, but were you there? Since the beginning of time? Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I thought at the beginning of this video that this could be a young Earth creationist. Now I'm pretty sure. Okay, the beginning of time is a difficult thing to quantify because, not to get all Einstein, time is relative. Even so, since the beginning of time, those constellations have changed and shifted. Stars die, black holes form, and yes, the universe is expanding. The night sky that we see now is not the same as in years past, and will not look the same in years hence. Just because we're on too small a scale to notice it that much, doesn't mean it isn't happening. And we have lots of evidence that it is.
If we were really expanding with the universe at 1.2 million miles per hour, we would see a different star every second of the day.
Okay, so that was wrong, but more importantly, why was there a little spaceship there?
The Earth is definitely flat. How could it be otherwise?
We're not moving. We're at the center of creation, and all the stars are rotating around us. You don't live on a magical spinning ball of water.
I agree that I don't live on a magical ball of spinning water. Magic isn't real. I live on a regular planet.
Right now, I'm in Florida.
English creator debunked. This is a Florida man. This is the win the Brits needed.
I would be walking around sideways. People below me would be walking upside down, and buildings would be upside down.
There's not much you can say to convince somebody who has a 5-year-old's understanding of science, so I'm happy to accept this as the delusions of an uneducated Florida man and take that as a win.
You need to know that evolution, as has been taught, is a demonic lie. It is to tell you that you come from nowhere, that you are here for nothing, and when you die, you are going nowhere.
So, just to be clear, literally none of that is involved in evolution. Evolution is simply any change in the heritable characteristics of a population over the course of multiple generations. It has nothing at all to do with the origin of life, or the purpose of life, or what happens after death, or anything like that. This person simply doesn't know what evolution is, and in his attempt to make a straw man of it, he also accidentally misrepresented abiogenesis, taphonomy, and most of philosophy as well. It's just cheap, empty buzzwords to try to elicit an emotional response because he knows he can't muster an intellectual one. That said, considering the other clips that I've seen of this person, including one where he argued that evolution teaches you to be racist, I'm not particularly surprised that he thinks that this nonsense is compelling.
If Jesus Christ is the creator of all, that means that everyone and everything only finds its meaning in obedience to him, that we come from him, we live for him, we will die and return to him and give an account to him because he is our maker.
And right on cue, we've got a bunch of claims with no evidence, all of which directly follow a ton of arguments with no understanding, to round off a sermon which is just a bunch of noise with no point. Evolution is testable, demonstrable, falsifiable, and observable. Plus, it makes novel, testable predictions, which is something that I don't think this dude could spell, let alone perform for creationism. And as for the whole part about obedience, I don't really care too much about that because I'm not a dog. If this dude worked his brain half as hard as he works his mouth, he might actually have something interesting to say. But as it is, his arguments remain as bland as his videos.
You come from Jesus Christ. You are here for Jesus Christ. And when you die, you will stand and return to Jesus Christ.
I come from my parents. But if anybody could ever mistranslate Heinrich to Jesus, it would be this guy. Anyway, this video is super dumb and incredibly short, so there's not really a lot more for me to say about it. So just to make this clip worth everybody's time, horseshoe crabs are not actually crustaceans. They are arthropods, but they are more closely related to spiders than crabs, which makes the whole name horseshoe crab kind of a misnomer. How cool is that? Anyway, enjoy the rest of the videos. Bye!
What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? I'm the Godless Engineer, and I critically analyze apologist claims to give you the best arguments and information so that you can stand up and use your voice. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a pastor. She's a woman that's giving that's preaching to a crowd, talking about how integral the Bible was to the founding of America and how often the founders actually cited the Bible. And I really want to provide you with some information about exactly how often the founders cited the Bible.
There is no question. It isn't even debatable. The number one book that was referenced by the founders across the board when they're putting this nation together was the Bible.
The Bible was actually cited very sparingly during the Constitutional Conventions. And I think that it speaks volumes that the founders were definitely influenced by the Bible and biblical principles and all that. They managed to have these constitutional conventions and proceedings and debates, and they really didn't cite the Bible whatsoever. There's a few caveats here as far as citing the Bible goes, but it's nowhere near, not even relatively close, not even on a football field's width or length or whatever in the fuck how you play that game, close to what she's talking about here. Now, there was a comprehensive study done of 190 constitutional proceedings that occurred between 1787 and 1788. And it failed to uncover even one explicit allusion to Scripture. A meticulous review of James Madison's notes on the Constitutional Convention revealed only one explicit citation of Scripture on a very specific constitutional provision. And even that wasn't made by Madison himself. It was actually made by Benjamin Franklin. The Constitution itself does not include any biblical quotations or verses. And this is most likely because they wanted to set up a secular nation so that everybody could freely believe in whatever they wanted to or not. The only person to make a reference to the Bible was Benjamin Franklin, as I said before. And he cited Exodus 18:21 about rulers hating covetousness. And this was in relation to what it takes to hold public office. Now, Franklin did cite Scripture another time when he was putting forth a proposal for prayer during the Constitutional Convention. Like I said before, pretty far away from what she's talking about here. It was not the number one cited book. In fact, it was barely cited at all. And the one time that it wasn't on anything really substantial.
So of all the videos I reacted to, this one pissed me off the most. Ways I will be raising my future daughter that goes against societal norms. This kid, I mean, he looks super young, looks like a kid to me, so probably very little life experience, and certainly none in the area of parenting. All right, let's see. How is he gonna raise his daughter? Don't date until you're ready to get married. Well, how are you gonna know? How are you gonna know who the one is? You're not even allowed to date? I mean, he's not even saying, like, don't hold hands, don't kiss, don't have sex. You just don't even date. Ugh, and here is the rage bait. Your virginity belongs to your future husband, not you. You hear that, girls? Your body does not belong to you. It belongs to your hypothetical future husband. Ugh. Yeah, my daughter's gonna grow up and learn she doesn't have any autonomy. Yay, Father of the Year. The way that they do the mental gymnastics to feel like women are almost property at this point. That you belong to a man, even if we don't know who that man is yet. Your body, his choice. I was really hoping this was rage bait, so I went to his profile, and it's not. All of his content is exactly like this. Very cringy, and oddly self-promotional, like he's running his own merch brand of this god-awful merch. Jesus got you. He has merch that says Jesus got you. And what's brilliant about this, right, is he shows off this like weird cringy looking sweater. All right, I've got to say the art on it is incredible. Whoever your graphic designer is, fire them. And then the very next message is live with Christ at the center and love and serve others more than yourself. But buy my merch, bro. This whole post feels very self-serving, if you ask me. It feels like a giant merch promotion. Even though I totally believe that he thinks these things, because I've looked at his whole page. Like, he is He believes it. It is still an extremely controversial opinion. He knows that, and he's using it as, like I said, rage bait. For what? To promote his merch? To promote his shitty merch? Yeah, I'm gonna teach my daughter that her decisions over her own body don't belong to her. But you know what? It's okay, girl. It's okay, don't worry. Don't worry, because Jesus got you. I don't got you. I'm your father. I don't got you, but Jesus got you. The only thing I liked about this video is that at the beginning, he acknowledged that it goes against societal norms. I don't know for how much longer it will, but I'm glad at least we're still at that point. Otherwise, we might all actually start to need Jesus.
Hello, it's me, Creaky.
And actually, there's a philosopher named Tim McGrew out there, and one of his arguments for God is that there's so many arguments for God.
We're going to call Tim McGraw's idea the pile of papers fallacy.
So if there's so much reason to believe in God, that's constitutes just by itself, just by the mere fact that there's a variety of different types of arguments and a variety of different angles on how to argue with God. He says that by itself is good evidence for God.
Imagine I want to prove my cap Mittens is actually a secret intergalactic emperor. Argument 1. Mittens stares at me with an authority no mere feline possesses.
So his argument for God is an argument from so many arguments.
Argument 2. The scratch marks on the sofa are far too geometrically complex for your average cat. They must be celestial navigation charts.
And these are not, by the way, like arguments that your uncle brings up at Thanksgiving, or whatever it is. These are peer-reviewed academic, arguments I'm talking about here.
Argument 3. She always demands food precisely at the moment I sit down to watch TV. A clear demonstration of cosmic control. Argument 4. She hides my socks. This must be a tax levied on a lesser species. Now, according to Tim McGraw's logic, the fact that I have found 4 distinct published in my diary arguments for Mitten's imperial status means her reign is basically undeniable. The sheer quantity of the nonsense is the proof.
So what is one of the craziest things that you've ever seen a Christian do?
And this is crazy.
Oh, well, if you know all about that, then why don't you show us then?
Call me maybe. Let's look at those 4 phrases separately and see how God is revealing to us the name of the Antichrist. Hey, I just met you. Now the I in this case refers to the Antichrist.
So I've got a few questions here. The first being, I know people interpret art in many different ways, but how on earth did you get that interpretation? And the second question I've got here is, if God wrote the song and I refers to the Antichrist, then why does it sound like it was written from the perspective of the Antichrist?
And this is crazy. That's the 7 years of tribulation. Remember back in Daniel chapter number 4, King Nebuchadnezzar goes crazy or insane for 7 times.
Okay, I'm trying to pass out the logic here, if there is any logic. Is he trying to say that anything to do with 7 has to do with the 7 years of tribulation? Should we just ban the number 7 so that doesn't come to pass? That seems like a solution, at least using his logic.
But here's my number. And of course, I think it should be obvious to you what the Antichrist's number is. His number is 666.
Alright, why don't you just call the Antichrist to confirm that you're correct on this? I mean, the next line is, so call me maybe. Why hasn't anyone decided to do that before?
And he is not talking here about a telephone number.
Are you sure? Have you tried to call him to actually check? It might be a telephone number.
He is talking here about his number of the beast, which he is going to give to every one of us.
Okay, that doesn't actually explain why it can't be a phone number. In fact, it's making it sound more like a phone number because that is what you do with phone numbers. You give your number to people.
So call me maybe. What the Antichrist is saying here is, my name is maybe.
Okay, that's an odd name, but it's good for us because if we just don't call anything maybe, then there's no Antichrist. Problem solved, I think.
And this is crazy.
Oh yeah, that was just completely insane and crazy. I'm not sure how you arrived at anything that you arrived at, to be honest.
Is your question meaningful?
Yeah, why wouldn't it be? I mean, I'm not sure it's the best question in the universe, but it's certainly one that has some meaning to it, because he wants to know what you have to say to that.
Yes. Let me ask you a similar question. Who is the father of Santa Claus?
Me. In fact, I've adopted all of the various mythological figures and creatures, because why shouldn't they have someone to look up to? Also, I want a bunch of world's best dad mugs. How else am I going to rebuild my castle? With bricks?
So if I ask a question like who's the father of Santa Claus when Santa Claus doesn't exist, the question is not meaningful.
It's actually really funny that you say that, because isn't Santa based on a dude? A dude who in fact had a dad. Saint Nicholas is the guy who ostensibly is Santa, and his dad was Theophanes. Way to debunk your almost guaranteed to be shit point before you even finish making it.
If you don't believe God exists, then ask who created God. It's not a meaningful question.
No, what's wrong with you? He doesn't have to believe something to be able to question it. You're just being the embodiment of the inverse to the concept, it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. If you believe people aren't allowed to do so, I can only assume you're kind of a thick prat.
It's a philosophical question. No, it's not a meaningful question from your side. If you are going to ask a question, the question that you should ask should be meaningful to you.
I feel sorry for this guy asking the question. He's obviously not very confident. And his interlocutor is the image of another saying, the problem with the world is that the intelligent are full of doubts while the stupid are full of confidence. Congratulations for being the problem, friend.
Do you believe in a God? No. So asking who created this God that doesn't exist is a meaningful question.
And of course he never actually gets to a point because this was never a refutation of anything. It's a dodge. Anyone who tries to pull this shit with you, your best bet is to walk away because they have zero interest in honest debate. Fuck 'em.
Hey everyone, JL here, and welcome back to Bridge the Divide. It appears that Cliff Connectily is back at it again, and today he's going to explain how the theological claims in the Bible are actually historical claims. Let's listen in.
Does the historical evidence of the way Jesus lived, taught, died, and rose from the dead point to him being reliable or not?
I see what you did there, Cliff. Lived, taught, and died. Sure, those can be presented as being historical claims. People have lived, taught, and died all throughout human history, so no problem there. But the resurrection claim is entirely theological, and that is in no way a controversial statement. So much so that even the believing scholarship of your own faith holds that position.
Guys, it's a no-brainer. If you live the type of life that Christ lived, I will listen very closely to everything you have to say.
So if I were to run around telling people to hate and leave their families and castrate themselves in order to show their devotion to me, and my best response to anyone daring to challenge my claims is trust me, bro, basically being a megalomaniacal cult leader who thinks that I know more than everybody else around me, you would willingly follow everything I had to say? I think it may be time for some serious self-examination, Cliff, especially considering that you have yet to demonstrate that your God actually exists for any of the supernatural claims that you make about this one particular guy to be true.
Obviously, the dude who spoke Matthew 5, 6, and 7, the Sermon on the Mount, was an ethical genius.
Well, first off, we don't actually know if that individual directly spoke those words. There were a lot of decades between the purported event happening and when people decided to finally write it down. Secondly, he wasn't really a genius for the things he said there. When you take the time to break his message down, you find that he didn't really do anything that previous humans hadn't done before. In the context of Jesus, what he did was take a selection of popular Hellenistic ideas. He then reformulated them within the context of his Judaic beliefs, and then he used that to stress to the people listening to him the importance of pathologically devoting themselves to him and his cult, as opposed to anyone else who he felt wasn't speaking the truth. But even if what Jesus said wasn't a reformation of previously articulated concepts, that would in no way demonstrate or be evidence of the existence of the God that he claimed to exist. And to be perfectly honest, who cares what speech some ancient guy gave on some ancient hill, when in the same breath, believers will claim that this individual had the power to violate the very laws of reality, which seems to me that by comparison would be the far more important claim that we need to address.
That's why Robert Coles, professor emeritus at Harvard, said all the teachings on ethics over the past 2,000 years are simply footnotes to the Sermon on the Mount.
The potential social utility doesn't say anything about Christianity being true. You, Cliff, smuggled in the resurrection as being historical. You planning on defending that claim?
I hate to tell you guys, he was not a crackpot. Jesus was an ethical genius?
Well, that really depends upon your subjective interpretation of what is it that constitutes ethical. And seeing as how such things are subjectively derived and relativistically applied, you're not really saying anything of substance here, Cliff.
Then you watch the way he died. At the moment of most excruciating pain as he's nailed to a wooden crossbeam. Instead of cursing his enemies the way I would have, he prays, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Yeah, he also asked why his own God had forsaken him. And without multiplying our entities unnecessarily, that very much comes off like a sudden realization that someone might have when what they thought was going to happen doesn't actually happen, and now they find themselves in a situation of their own making that they ultimately didn't want to be in.
That demands respect.
Gotta disagree with you there, Cliffy. Lots of people throughout history have gone to their deaths in the name of the crazy crap that they've been convinced is true. But glorifying that fact as though it were some kind of virtue is how we get things like the Crusades and the Troubles and people flying planes into buildings.
Simply read the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Just ignore the dozens of contradictions within them. Remember, you have to read them just right. And by reading them just right, I mean how Cliff wants you to read them. Should you dare to read and interpret them any other way, they just come off as silly mythology.
And ask yourself, does the historical evidence, not the scientific evidence,
To finish that thought, no, the historical evidence does not support the resurrection. Hence why the claim is theological in nature and requires an appeal to faith to justify his holding being true. And to be perfectly honest with you, Cliff, if you can't even be intellectually honest about your own position, how could we possibly expect you to be intellectually honest when it comes to representing the positions of non-believers? Maybe get yourself across that bridge first, and then with the common ground of intellectual honesty, we might be able to make some real progress. Be safe, be excellent to each other. I'll see you next time.
Hello, Skeptick here, and Mr. Mustache here knows you believe in a God deep down.
How can people say that God doesn't exist? How do you know when you've never read the Holy Bible from beginning to end?
I can't lie, I haven't read it from beginning to end, but the bits I have read were really lame. And there are a lot of atheists I know that are atheists because they read the Bible from start to finish.
If God's not real, why do atheists spend so much effort trying to disprove him? Think about it.
Is that what I'm doing? I usually just point out the silly things that people believe in God say.
You don't see people forming organizations to disprove Buddhism or Hinduism with its popular karma idea. Yet entire movements exist to argue against God. The Holy Bible begins, "In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth." It doesn't start by trying to prove God's existence, it assumes it.
That's not the flex you think it is, buddy. You're just assuming that the thing you believe in is real, so you carry on as if it is the case. You'd need to prove the existence of the thing before accepting the words as divinely inspired or true or whatever.
Scripture treats God's reality as the foundation of everything else. The very passion people have for denying God might be the strongest evidence that deep down they know he's real.
You know when they're running out of arguments when they default to, you know deep down it's real. I don't know what I'm thinking most of the time. How the bloody hell do you know what I'm thinking?
What do you think? Does their effort to disprove him actually prove he exists?
No, I'm not trying to disprove anything. I just explain why I'm not convinced by silly arguments like this one. In all honesty, I know deep down that the one true deity is Lisa the Rainbow Giraffe, leaf be upon her, the one that pooped the universe into existence.